Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Josephine, and as you can see, I've got a bit of a different background today, and that's because I am in the UK. So I'm going to be making a British recipe, which is a vegan shepherd's pie. It's absolutely delicious, and I cannot wait to share this recipe with you. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and leave me a message below about what you'd like to see next and what you thought of this recipe. So, let's get started. For the filling of our shepherd's pie, we're going to need brown or green lentils, carrot, celery, mushrooms, an onion, some garlic, a stock cube, as well as some dried herbs. I have sage, thyme, oregano, marjoram and rosemary in here, as well as some bay leaves. You're going to need some peas, frozen or fresh, balsamic vinegar, tomato paste, salt, pepper and a dark vegan beer. You'll also need some whole grain mustard for the filling, as well as a dash of paprika. For the mash, you will need some white potatoes, some vegan butter, salt, pepper, and some vegan cheese to sprinkle on top. We're going to start this recipe by prepping our vegetables. So I am cubing all of my vegetables, starting with the carrot, as well as the celery. I like the celery very fine. You don't want chunks of this. This just deepens the flavour of the sauce. I'm then finally dicing my onion, as you can see here, and then I will be prepping my garlic using the back of the blade to crush them and then peel off the skins. Finally, I dice my mushrooms into similar sized pieces to the rest of the veggies to form the base of our sauce. So all of these vegetables act to add depth to this dish. Once your vegetables are prepped, you want to turn on your heat to a medium-high heat and add some olive oil to your pan. Wait for that to heat up before adding in your carrot and celery to begin to saute and soften those down. So I just like to stir them in and begin to cook them till they're slightly soft and the celery is translucent. At this point I add in my diced onions and again I saute until fragrant and soft. Adding in some seasoning at this stage helps release the waters. So once I've stirred those in, I put in a generous helping of salt as well as my pepper, because that just helps the veggies soften and release the waters in the pan. Then I add in my mushrooms once things are nice and soft. This releases a lot of water, which also helps with picking up the brown bits. At this point I realised my pan was too small, so I've transferred everything into a much larger pot. So learn from me and use a large pot for this dish. So I'm just making sure that that's all heated up again. And then I am crushing in my cloves of garlic. I used about 5 small cloves in this recipe, and you want to stir those in until they're fragrant for about 2 to 3 minutes. I create a small well in my pan, and to this I add my balsamic vinegar, as well as about a tablespoon of tomato paste and a tablespoon of my whole grain mustard. And you want to stir that into the veggies to form a base of flavour that we're going to build upon. Once that's well incorporated, you can then add in your spices. And I just like to cook those into the base a little bit before using a splash of beer to deglaze the pan. And then in this more liquidy mixture, I add my stock cube, dissolving that into the mixture before adding in my lentils, along with the rest of the beer and a cup of water. At this point you want to turn your heat down, your kitchen will smell divine, and leave that to simmer on a low heat until the lentils are softened. I would say this process takes about 30 to 40 minutes. In the meantime, I'm prepping some cold water with some salt and peeling my potatoes. This is a lovely process, very therapeutic. Maybe put on a nice little podcast or listen to some of your favorite music while you peel the potatoes. And you want all the potatoes to be a roughly even size, so I would chop them if they're not already an even size, and then put them into the cold salted water. Then you just want to leave those on a high heat to boil. In the meantime, make sure that your sauce is liquidy enough, and then you can add in your peas. I've used frozen peas here, you can use fresh. And then I'm making a cornstarch slurry with a little bit of cornstarch and water and adding that into my filling just to create a little bit of thickness in the sauce. I'm then going to sprinkle a little bit of the smoked paprika to deepen the flavour yet again. And then your potato should be boiling, your filling should be simmering. After about 30 minutes, take out the bay leaf and your potato should be done. Check with a fork that you can pierce through the potato and then drain them, add them back into the pan along with some pepper and your vegan butter. I've also added a splash of my favourite plant-based milk, and then I've begun to mash the potatoes. So you don't want to overmash it, but you do want to get a nice creamy fluffy flavour. I've added a little bit more salt for seasoning, check, because the salty water will have already seasoned the potatoes. And using a fork, I'm just fluffing that up before adding a handful of vegan cheese. This is a little secret. And mixing that into that potato mash. Then get your baking tray and you can start to fill it with your filling as well as topping that with your mashed potato using a spoon and fork to spread it in an even layer on top of your filling. This will serve about around 4 people, so it's a really good serving size, perfect for the family. And as you can see, I'm just using the back of the spoon and the fork to create an even layer, and using the fork to create ridges which will brown in the oven, and it also looks pretty. Finally, I sprinkle a layer of vegan cheese before popping it into the oven at about 180 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes and until it's golden brown on top. And then you're ready to serve. Look at that. Golden, cheesy, and so rich. So, here it is. Delicious. And I'm going to give it a try. So I'm going to get a bit of the delicious mash, as well as some of the filling. And it's pretty hot, so let it cool down a little bit before you eat it. Let's have a go. That is lovely. Really good. Let me go for a second bite. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!